Welcome to a brand new episode of the Jampack Report today for December the 16th of 2019. Of course, my name is Samuel Adams, and this is a daily gaming news podcast meant to bring you the hottest news from around the industry 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, right here on youtube.com/SamuelAdamsMedia, as well as podcast services around the world. So if you enjoy the show, you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and keep yourself up to date throughout the week. But today we have some big news for Batman fans. Unfortunately, not a full reveal of Warner Bros. Montreal's new Arkham game, Court of Owls, tied in. No, nothing like that. But a re-release of Batman the Telltale Series is getting a bit of an art tweak, and on top of that, some brand new DLC. Then we will talk more about the weekend's Fortnite Star Wars event. It seemed to be very exciting for a ton of people around the industry, across industries some may say, between gaming and movies. The Outer Worlds is getting some DLC. PlanetSide Arena is closing down. Doom Eternal has a very cool little addition to its gameplay lineup, and we have more news to dive into. But without further ado, what do you say we go ahead and dive into it? First off, Batman the Telltale Series is getting noir-style visual makeover and new DLC. Athlon Games and Telltale Games will release a Telltale Batman Shadows Edition, which adds a noir-style visual makeover and graphical upgrade to Batman the Telltale Series. The Telltale Batman Shadows Edition, which includes the original base game and new DLC, will be available for purchase on PS4, Xbox One, Steam, the Epic Game Store, and Nintendo Switch for $29.99. If you already own the base game, you can pick up Shadows Mode as a standalone DLC for $4.99. News of the edition was announced in a press release, which was pulled soon after, per Gematsu. Earlier this year, Athlon Games and Telltale Games struck a new publishing agreement for 5 popular Telltale Games releases, including Batman 1 and 2 and The Wolf Among Us. We're excited to be able to build and continue the legacy of an iconic Telltale Games franchise by launching the Telltale Batman Shadows Edition today, Jamie Attili, CEO of Telltale Games, said in a press release. This is just the beginning in a much more expansive plan to build on our catalog of Telltale Games titles, which we hope to discuss in further detail in the coming months. In August, Telltale Games assets and back catalog rights were purchased by LCG Entertainment. This included licensing rights to some of Telltale Games' properties. It was announced during the Game Awards 2019 that The Wolf Among Us 2, another Telltale title, was back in active development. And so this continues the ever-growing saga of what's happening with Telltale Games. Of course, everybody kind of thought it was the end whenever the company itself was pretty much shut down. Then the rights were purchased, names exchanged hands, and Telltale is back, although it's largely different than the company that it was before. And a lot of people are saying, well, these new games that are coming out, these re-releases, these aren't really Telltale games. I don't know that it's a bad thing that it's kind of an entirely new company, because the other one clearly did not work out that well. Poor management combined with, I'm sure, a lot of back-end issues that we aren't even aware of led to the company being essentially shut down, which was much to the chagrin of ravenous fans who wanted more of their favorite series to return. But now with a new team, better management, hypothetically, you could be seeing the return of Telltale in a big way, because from what I've seen from the trailers, from what I've seen from what we've heard even, it seems like it's actually going fairly well. This is a very good rebirth of a company so far. So we'll see what happens with the Telltale Batman Shadows Edition, which again is going to be coming out on PS4, Xbox One, Steam, Epic Game Store, and Nintendo Switch for $30. Not a bad price considering what you get. And again, Batman the Telltale Series, a very highly acclaimed little entry in the Telltale lineup, the Telltale catalog, if you will. However, speaking of really, really good franchises, Fortnite adds lightsabers following the Star Wars event. I was mainly complimenting Star Wars, but hey, take it as you will. If you wanted to attend Fortnite Star Wars event but you missed out, you're probably experiencing a twinge of regret right now. The event included an expected Rise of Skywalker clip and a virtual appearance by director J.J. Abrams. However, it also gave people lightsabers and blasters, and yes, they're available outside of the event. Suddenly, the notorious mechs from earlier in the year seem a bit weak by comparison. It's not certain how long they will last, but you'll have to track down special Star Wars crates to arm yourself like a Jedi or Sith. You will also find Star Wars-based challenges and new unlockables like a Jedi training emote. Epic is also handing out the TIE Whisper glider to everyone, not just attendees, after high demand led to trouble getting into the game. The high profile, combined with interest, suggests that in-game Fortnite events like this will persist for a while. It's not surprising as to why. The game's gigantic player base makes it an easy choice for advertisers who want to court a large audience of young people, and this could keep people coming back well after they've obtained the usual seasonal goodies. It's just a question of whether or not Epic can both sustain interest in the core game and preserve some of the novelty of community-wide events, and I think that they very well can. We talked about this whenever I was giving my rundown of the Game Awards nominees. Epic has done something very, very incredible when it comes to the world of Fortnite, and that is that they've created a game that has live events that rival real-world events. I mean, a Marshmallow concert held in-game over the summer generated tons and tons and tons of hype to the point that it almost felt like a digital Bonnaroo in a way. On top of that, you have stuff like the Star Wars event. On top of that, you have all these other collaborations that have happened over the years. And it's all gone really, really well, all things considered. And so with the in-game skins, with the hype around the new Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker movie coming out on the 20th, of course there's going to be a ton of hype surrounding this event, and I think they did a very good job with it. Now, some people have been complaining, of course, but at the end of the day, it's a very cool thing to see, and it switches up what you would normally expect from a video game. You know, a lot of people would just see any kind of in-game event and think, oh, that's cool. For instance, anything in Battlefield 5. Yeah, it's a limited time mode. Sure, that's great. With this, it's a giant, I guess, centerpiece in a way of the community for at least a solid month. I mean, people are going to be talking about this for a while. And also, it's important to put yourself in the shoes of somebody who is between the ages of 12 and 15. Here you are, 9 days before Christmas, something like that, and you're sitting there with your friends at the lunch table getting ready to get off for the holiday season, and you're talking about the newest Star Wars Fortnite event, and you're like, man, wasn't that cool? What kind of lightsaber did you get? Whatever the question might be. That's the way that I see this. So if you were not able to attend, it looked like it was a pretty big deal. Of course, plenty of footage of it is up on YouTube right now, and on top of that, you can dive in and check out the Star Wars-themed event-ish going on right now. However, The Outer Worlds is getting into DLC next year. The deep space adventures in a nightmarish corporate hellscape will continue. The corporate nightmare sci-fi RPG The Outer Worlds was a big hit for Obsidian. It's not the deepest role-playing experience ever, but it is gorgeous, sharply written, and maybe most impressive of all, it's relatively bug-free. It's just a really fun game. We called it an entertaining, uncomplicated RPG in a colorful universe in our review at PC Gamer, and that really nails it. In the wake of that success, Obsidian announced today that the adventure will continue. We want to take this opportunity to thank the incredible team behind The Outer Worlds. It is because of their hard work and dedication to this project that we received the Best Narrative, Best Performance, Ashley Birch Best RPG, and Game of the Year nominations at the Game Awards, Obsidian social media manager Shyla wrote. To all of those who voted for us in the Game Awards, you are all fantastic, and we are so grateful for your support. The reception to The Outer Worlds has been unbelievable to see, and even just being nominated means a lot. However, the journey is not over yet, as we are excited to announce that we will be expanding the story through DLC next year. Details will be made available at a later date. The Outer Worlds did not win any of the awards it was nominated for, but in its defense, the competition was fierce. Best Narrative and Best RPG went to Disco Elysium. The Best Performance Award was given to Mads Mikkelsen for Death Stranding, and Sekiro Shadows Die Twice claimed Game of the Year honors. There's no shame in losing to any of those. We just wanted to personally thank our team for doing a wonderful job and our fans for their tremendous support, The Outer Worlds co-director Leonard Boyarsky said. And Tim would like to say what an honor it is to work with me. Whatever, Leonard, co-director Tim Kaine added, now that we've finished, I expect that certain photographs will be destroyed as per our agreement. Despite its healthy stated release, The Outer Worlds was not entirely without issues. Q&A lead Taylor Swope recently offered some insight into the headaches of troubleshooting on Twitter, and of course you can check that out if you would like. But this is one of the biggest games of the year, one of the biggest RPGs of the year for sure, and kind of the return to form for a lot of people to the classic RPG experience. If you are a fan of Fallout, you're probably going to enjoy The Outer Worlds because it has that quirky aesthetic to it. It has that quirky kind of feel. Of course, Fallout, much more serious, much more grounded. But The Outer Worlds, it is just this giant outer space romp where the writing is phenomenal. The stuff you have to do is insane. Very, very, very cool game. On top of that, included with Game Pass. But cool to see that it's getting DLC. I think this was kind of up in the air. I don't know that anybody knew if it would be getting DLC, but it is a world that lends itself to constant exploration and expansion. I mean, the amount of lore within the world of The Outer Worlds is something that you shouldn't really neglect. There is a reason to go back to it, I think. And so to see us going back to it, very cool. I still need to dive in and actually finish the game itself. I started playing it and then I wasn't in the right headspace to really dive in and do a deep playthrough of it. So maybe I'll do that over the holiday season. It seems like a good, blanket over the head, tucked into the couch for a few hours kind of game. However, one thing you won't be playing is PlanetSide Arena. Just 3 months after it launched in early access, PlanetSide Arena is closing down. PlanetSide Arena only released in early access on September the 19th, 2019, but Daybreak Games has already decided it's time to pull the plug on the ambitious sci-fi arena shooter, stating low player numbers make it impossible to sustain the gameplay experience we envisioned. The servers will close down permanently on January 10th, 2020. In preparation for the closure, the team said it had already removed all DLC and hard currency purchase options from Steam, and it is actively working with Steam to make sure that anyone who made an in-game purchase during the early access period will automatically receive a full refund to their Steam wallets. While you will still be able to spend any virtual currency you have, be that battle coins or certs you've earned through gameplay, you only have until January 10th, 2020 to get your money's worth, as at 5 p.m. Pacific time on that date, 1 a.m. in the morning of January 11th, 2020 in the UK, these servers will be switched off. After careful consideration, we made the difficult decision to shut down PlanetSide Arena servers, said executive producer Andy Seitz in a statement on Steam, according to VG247. While our team set out with ambitious visions for the game that combine the massive scale combat and camaraderie of PlanetSide through a diverse collection of new game modes, it has become clear after several months in early access that our population levels make it impossible to sustain the gameplay experience we envisioned. As a result, PlanetSide Arena will formally shut down servers on January 10th, 2020 at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We are actively working with Steam to ensure that all players who make purchases during early access will receive full refunds to their Steam wallets after servers shut down in January. Of course, there were multiple delays, a lot of development hell for this PlanetSide game, but now, of course, we see the end before the beginning officially began. And I can't say this is shocking. PlanetSide's going through a bit of a transitional phase right now because, of course, PlanetSide 2, very, very popular game. But where do you go from here? I believe PlanetSide Arena was trying to jump into this big team battle royale kind of experience, and it just simply didn't work out. And on top of that, whenever you have low player numbers, it's very hard to maintain the vision of having this giant, enormous world to explore and do things in. And so whenever you've only got less than a couple hundred people playing the game, probably even fewer than that for PlanetSide Arena, then there really isn't any point in continuing to drag the game out further and further when you could start working on whatever is next. But if you were curious as to how things were going with PlanetSide Arena, not too well. But things are hypothetically going to go great with Doom Eternal because, of course, coming out next year, and now we know it will have a centered weapons option for you at launch. Want to hold your gun like it's 1994? Doom Eternal will let you with classic weapon pose in the options menu at launch. Doom 2016 added the option after launch in the same patch as photo mode. Centered weapons come from a time before crosshairs and mouse aim were common, when having a gun in the middle of the screen was how you lined up your shots. That changed in the mid-90s when games like Star Wars, Dark Forces, and Iron Angel of the Apocalypse let us shooter fans, while looking at their sides a bit. First, let us shoot guns while also looking at their sides a bit. There we go. It's nice to go back when given a chance, though, like when you're wielding the old-school Quake rocket launcher in TF2. Neither option is 100% realistic, as the internet's army of gun experts will happily explain to us, but it's nice to have another retro option while shotgunning cockamamie. Yee. Anyways, if you did want to dive in and check out the classic weapons view, this is coming to us courtesy of Revenant on YouTube. You can actually see that's what it's going to be looking like, and I am a big fan of that. I feel like we saw this already, or we heard this was going to be coming, but now we know it's going to be added at launch. That's the big news here. And I think this is a really, really cool way to play the game because, again, it is more a callback to the classic kind of Doom experience as compared to the old school, or I suppose new school 2016 Doom approach, which is just a basic FPS whenever really is broken down. But really, really excited for Doom Eternal. Of course, it was delayed. Hypothetically should have been out by now, but no, they needed a couple of extra months to work on it, and the way that I see it, I would rather them work on it for a bit and it still be a fantastic game than it hit and miss, so to speak. But very cool to see the classic weapon view, and I cannot wait to give that one a shot. However, big news in the YouTube space, PewDiePie announces he is taking a break from YouTube in 2020. YouTuber Felix PewDiePie Killberg has announced he is taking a break from the platform. He announced his plans to step away from YouTube next year in a video this weekend where he begins by denouncing YouTube's recent policy update concerning harassment. The sweeping anti-harassment policy went live on Wednesday, prohibiting harassment that suggests violence as well as content that maliciously insults someone based on protected attributes. As a result, videos that don't follow these guidelines are being taken down. I think now is a great time as any to announce I have a special announcement to make. I am taking a break from YouTube next year because I made up my mind, he says at the end of the video. I'm tired. I'm feeling very tired. I don't know if you can tell. Just so you know, early next year I'll be away for a little while. I'll explain that later, but I wanted to give you a heads up. This is not the first time he has alluded to stepping back from YouTube. PewDiePie first mentioned plans to taking a break from the platform in August 2019. I do think it would be good for me to take a break at some point, he said at the time. It would be nice to not have YouTube in my brain for the first time in 10 years. Killberg married his girlfriend, Marzia Bezognin, a former YouTube personality, that same month. Killberg is not alone in his complaints over YouTube's new anti-harassment policy. Not long after YouTube unveiled the changes, many creators responded in force on social media by getting the hashtag #YouTubeIsOver and #YouTubeIsOverParty trending on Twitter. However, he does not have Just kidding, he totally does have a history of controversy that may make him a prime target for having his content pulled. PewDiePie once famously hired men to hold up a sign that read "Death to all Jews" back in 2017 as a joke. The move forced Disney, a former sponsor, to drop his channel and caused a PR nightmare for YouTube. He also previously used the N-word while playing PUBG in a famous video that itself spawned a meme. Yikes. This is something that I think we've all been expecting for a while, because nobody can be king forever, although PewDiePie hypothetically could be king of YouTube forever. But I couldn't imagine being in the position that he's in, where you are at the top of a platform, and then the content that pretty much helped you rise to fame is now being more or less kind of targeted by the platform itself. Of course, a lot of kickback from the community this weekend after an iDubbbz video was pulled. It was the Content Cop Leafy video, if I remember correctly. And so that really did strike a chord that unified the community against the platform yet again. And it's hard because YouTube is doing something that hypothetically is good. On paper, being able to say this is an anti-harassment, anti-bullying kind of policy change, it's incredible that we're able to find a way to make that a negative, yet here we are, giving YouTube shit for it. So whenever you are looking to make content, whether you're PewDiePie or whether you're just starting out, be sure to read the policy and make sure that it does not violate whatever you got going on. Right now, I'm just going to kind of riff on this for a minute. YouTube is in a very strange spot because up until 2017, 2018, 2019, it was pretty much the Wild West. You could do whatever you wanted on the platform. There were little to no restrictions. And then you began to see more of this copyright stuff brought in. You began to see more restrictions as to what you could do on the platform from the policy. Really, they began to crack down on people. And that's whenever you begin to see the hitback. You begin to see people complain because they don't have complete and total freedom to say whatever they want. Even though YouTube and Google, that's private. That's a private entity. You are not protected by the First Amendment's freedom of speech on that one. They can restrict whatever you say if they so choose. Thankfully for me, I just talk about video games, yet I still occasionally get demonetized. However, never had a video taken down. Gonna knock on wood for that one. But regardless, PewDiePie taking a break because, of course, I'm sure a lot of his videos are getting flagged. But on top of that, the dude's got so much money. The dude has no need to continue making videos. Obviously, he does want to. No one would have ever continued on this long if you didn't actually have a passion for making content, which hopefully he'll be back in a big way with, of course, better content overall. Maybe something that's a little bit less hostile, or who knows, YouTube's policy could change yet again. However, to round out today's big video game news, Resident Evil 2's Remake has a brand new demo that features the voice of RE3's Nemesis. Capcom has released a Resident Evil 2 Remake update, which adds a new achievement and trophy called Chasing Jill, and it also re-released the one-shot demo with the timer removed and a very familiar voice. For the Chasing Jill achievement in Resident Evil 2 Remake, you will be tasked with reading a letter left behind by Jill, or according to VG247, reading a letter left behind by Jill. According to Silicon Era, another change is on the PS PS4. The new update has changed the game's menu, which gives you the option to go to the PS Store to pre-order Resident Evil 3. There's also an Easter egg in the demo. While it's basically the same demo as the one-shot, of course, at the beginning, Resident Evil 3's Nemesis was added and you can hear him. Listen for yourself in the video below from Suguro Misato, according to Reset Era. The updated demo is available on Steam, PS4, and Xbox One, and Resident Evil 3 is coming out on April the 3rd, including Resistance, the spin-off game, the 4v1 asymmetrical shooter, for free. But, of course, very cool, if you go outside of the Raccoon City Police Department and you stand by the gate, you can hear Nemesis off in the distance because, of course, if you don't know, Resident Evil 3 technically takes place before and after the events of Resident Evil 2. So if you did want to go in and give the remake a shot for the second game, by all means you should. And, of course, I would highly recommend playing that one as well because it's one of the best games that I played this year. Very, very impressed with that one. However, that does round out this week's episode. This week, just kidding. This is the first of 5. This day's episode of the Jampack Report. Of course, if you enjoyed this one, be sure to drop me a like down below. And, of course, you can always come back tomorrow for a brand new episode of the show to keep yourself in the know. But until then, you guys have a phenomenal rest of your day. I will talk to you soon, and peace.